Welcome to the first webinar in our monthly series. Today we're going to present to you a live demonstration of Martha. So I'm Eric Snyder. I'm the Executive Director of the Technology and Innovation Group here at the University of Rochester Medical Center and the Wilmot Cancer Institute. Leading today's demo is our lead engineer and principal developer, Scott Cunliffe. Scott was actually one of the very first developers we hired when our team was forming 6 years ago. And his expertise and code have been instrumental in bringing Martha live. For these webinars, we are hoping to keep a lot of these between 12 and 15 minutes and then with some questions at the end to kind of keep this during a lunch break type deal. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Scott.
All right. Thank you, Eric, for that introduction and welcome. And thank you for joining us today as we discuss one of our newest apps, Martha. So what we'll talk about here in the next 15 minutes or so is we'll talk about, what is Martha? And what was our motivation for creating Martha? Some of the key features. We'll do a live demonstration, and we'll talk about some current and future developments. I'll take a shout out to the team, and then we'll put up the contact information, and we'll get into questions and answers. So what is Martha? Martha is a custom-coded analytics suite integrating tumor molecular testing from external and internal NGS lab partners. So what we do is in order for the molecular testing, we send out our specimens to our next generation sequencing lab partners where they analyze biological markers in the genome and proteome. Martha is built on our Hyperion technology foundation, and Hyperion is the backbone of Martha as our other tools. It's an enterprise level data integration platform consisting of a federated data warehouse with integrated data governance, ticketing, and analytics. Martha also uses complex multi-source data amalgamation routines to curate and deliver data to be used for oncology decision-making. Each of our NGS partners, they have a different way of naming and structuring data. We transform this complex data into a simple-to-use tool. Martha has fast data integration of new laboratory partners via custom interface library, and we can typically have new lab partners added within 2 weeks. We have real-time data querying. It empowers patient care and research, including clinical trial planning and enrollment. So not only does Martha query real-time, but having discrete data, we can also query specific data points not currently included in Martha. This provides an additional level of data analytics. So why the name Martha? Our team set out to try to come up with a name for this tool based on what we were going to develop. And our clinical director, Dr. Erica Ramsdale, came up with the name Martha and its acronym. As you can see here, Martha Chase was involved with the Hershey-Chase experiments, and they determined that the DNA transmitted genetic information. In 1969, Alfred Hershey wins the Nobel Prize for this discovery, but Martha Chase was excluded. So we thought this would be a good way to kind of honor Martha. And typically, we try to find someone who's excelled in their field of work. And for a moment in time, Martha worked here at the University of Rochester. What was the motivation that encouraged us to develop the Martha application? In the clinical setting, data was very difficult or impossible to find in the EHR. Now all the data is in one place for one patient or your whole patient panel. Typically, to view a report in the EHR, there's several steps that you have to take. Navigating the EHR to locate the results can be tricky and frustrating, but we make reviewing the results quick. And also, oncologists were requesting the ability to search genes in alterations. This was the #1 feature that they were asking for. Tumor boards and disease working groups. Previously, it was a manual, slow process for identifying targeted treatments and clinical trial options. Now you get rapid identification of all eligible patients. For research, previously had to manually scrape EHR and external lab PDFs to collect data. And now you've got aggregate real-time repository of discrete data in a SQL database. And, researchers now can focus on analyzing the data. And as far as researchers or tumor boards, I can give you an example where if you're looking for patients that have the H1047R mutation, a PIK3CA gene, Martha helps them adapt their clinical trial studies and strategies immediately. Some of the key features of Martha: it has an intuitive interface. You can search by gene, physician, patient, etc. Data are discrete in real time, one-click access to the full report, and we have multiple labs integrated within Martha. So as you can imagine, bringing this large collection of disparate data from lab to app presents several challenges. We ultimately make this complex process look easy. All right, so we'll jump over to a live demo right now. So as I mentioned, it's an easy to use interface. You have a search capability here where you can type in a keyword. By default, Martha is sorted by report date, but you do have the options to sort it by other fields. And by default, it's sorted in descending order. So for this demonstration, I will search on our clinical director, Dr. Erica Ramsdale's patients. And pretty much instantly, Dr. Ramsdale's results are returned back. So as we look at this, we notice that the keyword that we searched on is highlighted. And for every row that you highlight, you'll be able to see which ones are indeed highlighted. What we've included in the results set here are patient name, the MRN, which what we do in the background, many of our sites don't use the enterprise MRN. So what we do is in the background, we'll do a lookup and bring back all the eMRNs so that for the convenience of our users, if you're searching on eMRN, that can start to worry about the other MRNs in the system. We include the ordering physician and the report date, and you get to see the lab. The next four columns that are in gold, those are the biomarker results. First one being tumor mutation burden status, and then the score. And the third one being the microsatellite instability mixed match repair status. We include those, and the fourth one being circulating tumor DNA. So those are the biomarker findings. And then the genomics finding column, any of the genes that have findings will be returned there in that particular field. Of course, we get the report ID, and then as I mentioned earlier, if you choose to look at the full report, you can just click on that button and you will get the full report, in this case, the Foundation 1 report. If, for example, you want to look at a specific gene, in the case of what I spoke about earlier, the PIK3CA, you get back the results set there. So you get a whole cohort of patients that had that particular gene with a particular finding in it. So that's basically Martha. Current and future development. So we plan on adding labs, in which we are currently in the process of doing. We're going to be adding gene alterations and the ability to search mutations, including blood tumor data. We'll be integrating with our gene search app and other Hyperion applications. And we'll also incorporate clinical genomics, and some of the areas will include population health, social determinants of health, social vulnerability index, We're going to be adding clinical decision support to help with therapy options, drug side effect research, and then survivability. Lastly, we'll add in some generative AI. So this is our Martha team. I'd like to acknowledge their dedication and work towards the advancement of patient care, specifically in the development of this Martha app. We have Eric Snyder, who introduced me. He's our executive director, providing strategy and technical guidance. Dr. Erica Ramsdale is our clinical director. She also provides strategy and clinical guidance. Scott Paoni, he's our head of product. JC is our research data engineer, and on this project, he is responsible for the design, the look and feel of the Martha app. Emily Strong, she's our research data engineer and providing the backend support, bringing the data that we see in Martha to reality. You can request additional information on Martha or any of our other Hyperion-based apps at our team address on the screen here or through the QR code.
Okay, so thanks, Scott. I want to extend my thanks to everyone also for joining us today. I just want to mention this webinar, as well as the transcripts and everything in the future series, will be available on the main site from that link that Scott had just shown, or you can search us on whatever platform you choose to search us on. So at this point, it looks like we have a couple questions. We're pretty close to the 15-minute mark, so we'll just take a couple here. The first, Scott, looks like how easy is it to add in new NGS labs?
That's a great question. So with the current set of libraries that we have for integrating data into Hyperion database, we can typically, within 2 weeks, add in additional labs.
Awesome. The second is, so this data is from multiple different labs. Is the data standardized somehow when it gets to you?
Another good question. No, I mean, every lab has its own way, their own data schema and naming conventions. So when we get the data, we bring it in, we go through a routine that creates and basically matches up the general naming conventions that we came up with for Martha and populates, all our tables with that general information. So basically, once we're done with it, every lab is pretty much standardized as far as what we're seeing in the Martha app.
Very cool. Thank you. Third is, do you have plans to open this up to other institutions?
Great question. Yes, we would love to share this with other institutions. So yeah, by all means, please contact us at our team website, and we can talk about that.
So I think we're at time here, so I'm gonna keep it with 3 questions. We'll post the answers to all the other questions that are on there within the next couple of days onto the website as well. Yeah, so we will post everything on the website, and it'll be up there probably sometime by Monday, and we'll go. But thank you for joining us, and hopefully we can do one next month as well.